In the last video, we saw a lot of things happening in rapid succession. Zuo Fan successfully escapes from the trap set by Hanhu. Mu Yinyu is safely reunited with her family and leaves after Zuo Fan promises to meet her soon. His father is taken aboard the flying prison, but he tells the way to prove his innocence to his son before leaving. Zuo Fan has a clear view of his goal now. He plans to move to Jining City and find the proof his father had left behind. But before that, he has to repair his sword. He takes the help of a talented blacksmith, Zhu Nayan, and they forge a relationship of siblings for mutual benefit. Thanks to the black VIP pass she gifted him, he can go and test out his new Starfall weapon without waiting in line. He will have to fight a Star Martial trainer to test out his weapon. It was a glamorous line of work for Starfall warriors who own Starfall equipment OF rank F and above. The better the equipment and strength of a warrior, the better position he could take as a Star Martial trainer. In the exchange center, the trainers are talking about how they have only got to test low-ranking Starfall equipment lately. But if they would have to face any weapon above E rank, their weapons would not last against them. In such cases, the chief star trainer of the city, He Tanji, would have to fight them. Anyone could tell from his build that he was not a man to be messed with. His Starfall equipment was a huge battle axe. He had shot into the limelight when he killed almost 100 E-rank monsters in one night, 3 years ago. He is sitting idle when a man tells him there is a request and only he can take it on. A VIP guest with an E-rank Starfall weapon wants to train. When he finds out that the monster core was a mutated E-rank core, he is even more excited to face the challenger. The VIP pass comes with a lot of privileges. Zuo Fan gets the entire training area for himself, and he is also very eager to test his weapon out. He calculates that due to the mutated core, his sword must be almost E-ranked. To test that, he would need to face an advanced Starfall warrior. Just as he is thinking about this, he feels the presence of someone. It is indeed an advanced Starfall warrior who is approaching him. Fan turns back to find Tanji and Zhu Nayan walking towards the training area. She is also excited to see how her latest work performs. Tanji looks at Zuo Fan and thinks that the boy must be quite talented if he owns a weapon like that at his age. He introduces himself but does not hesitate in sledging Zuo Fan. The testing begins and both the warriors take their position. Zuo Fan admits to himself that the man gives a scary vibe. He must be as strong as the secretary of the prison warden. But now he has a reforged Starfall sword and that would make him much stronger. Fan checks his stats. His strength and agility would be boosted by 40 points each when he uses the sword. That translates to a strength stat of 85 and an agility of 90. He is confident that he could beat him with his speed. And looking at his weapon, a giant axe, he guesses that his speed would be considerably less. Zuo Fan takes the initiative and attacks Tanji. He uses his speed to his advantage and launches a barrage of attacks. But Tanji is prepared to face him and he uses his axe as a shield. He can spin it around with only one hand and that is enough to block the attacks from Zuo Fan. But Zuo Fan is willing to push his luck. He activates his innate skill perception and tries to get closer to him through a weakly guarded point. He almost makes it but Tanji blocks him and punches him away. The attack could be devastating and Fan realizes it and hurries to a safe distance. Even with his strength at 85, he would fail to block that hit. It was thanks to his agility that he managed to dodge in time. Zhu Nayan, Fan's new big sister, is also watching the match. She is surprised that he can hold his ground against a genius like Tanji. But Tanji wants Zuo Fan to change his fighting style for now. Their match is not to determine their strength but that of their weapons. And that could only be possible if both of them activate their weapons and clash. Tanji is the first one to activate his weapon. His weapon aura covers his entire body and his axe. The aura surrounding the axe becomes larger than even the height of its wielder. Zuo Fan is amazed. With the activation, Tanji's range and weapon had changed. But now he could be free to show his power too. Anyone weaker than this would not make for a good sparring partner. Zuo Fan unleashes the hidden power of his sword and clashes head-on with the Star Martial trainer. They are evenly matched at first sight, but Fan realizes that he is the one struggling. Just when he is thinking this, the skill of Zuo Fan's sword, E-rank penetration, activates and injures Tanji. He is lucky that it only grazes his shoulder and missed any vital organs. But that attack awakens the warrior instincts of Tanji and he responds with a combat skill. He uses an E-rank skill, Mountain Crushing Storm, and a tornado of energized wind forms around him. Zuo Fan had no option but to jump back and dodge. The entire area around Tanji is affected by the attack. The tiles are uprooted and crushed due to the force of the attack. Tanji immediately realizes that he got carried away and made a mistake. He should not have used his E-rank combat skill against anyone in training. The weapon testing is over with this incident. The advanced Starfall warrior is impressed by the skills and strength of Zuo Fan. He makes amends for being cocky and rude earlier. He was under impression that it was just a fluke that a young boy owned such a weapon, but it turns out that he had talent. He is sure to remember the name of this young boy. Once outside, Tanji is surrounded by people who were seeing the match on the screens. They praise him and his strength and think that the only reason the boy was able to last against him was the mutated monster core. But Tanji is upset by their crude remarks. He is a person who holds talent in very high esteem and he does not like people saying bad things about Zuo Fan. He had already apologized for using his combat skill all of a sudden and inquired if Zuo Fan was injured. Zuo Fan is surprised that he was a kind person when he was not fighting. His whole aura and build gave off the air of intimidation. Tan Ji leaves the training area and advises him to learn a suitable E-rank combat skill or sword technique to use the full potential of his weapon. Zuo Fan's big sis, Zhu, is also present and congratulates him on his performance. She asks him if he had thought of a name for the sword, to which Zuo Fan replies that an amazing sword like this should have a name suitable for it. He names it Bonepiercer and gets it registered at the exchange center under the new name. Once Tan Ji is alone, he checks the cut he got from the piercing skill. If it had been a combat skill instead of a passive skill, it could have cost him an arm. The sword must have dual attribute boosting as well as a bonus skill. That was rare enough for anyone to be jealous. But Zuo Fan is thinking about the advice he received from Tan Ji. He wants to learn an E-rank combat skill, but he can't find many of them. If he couldn't find one here, he would definitely find one in Jinning. But as he is walking around, he hears a familiar voice in a commotion. 3 novice Starfall warriors are harassing Lai Wai and his girlfriend Lu Jia. They claim that Lu Jia, who is a novice Starfall warrior herself and an employee at the exchange center, has stolen a monster core from them. Lai Wai stands in front of her and looks like he has already taken a beating from the 3. It is clear that they are doing it on purpose and are trying to gain an unfair advantage. They quickly change their claims once they see that no one is trying to stop them. First, they said that it was an F-rank core, but then they say that it was a mutated F-rank core. Lu Jia stole it, saying that she would get it appraised, but she clearly tells them that she has never seen the core they are talking about. They plan to create a commotion to force her into letting them search her body. They are just perverts who threaten to spread bad things about the exchange center if she does not agree to that. But when Lai Wai tries to defend her, one man gets overexcited and attacks him. He punches with full power but is shocked when his punch does not connect. It was stopped midway by someone who was not there a moment ago. Zuo Fan is there to defend his friend. He kicks the man and sends him flying. The other 2 bullies get angry at this and try to gang up on him. But he can tell that they are pathetic. They are as weak as he was before the War God system. He takes them down effortlessly and tells them that it was not possible that weaklings like them could have defeated a mutated F-rank monster. But the troublemakers are still not ready to give up. They begin shouting that the Zhongbei Exchange Center loots and beats its customers. But they soon realize that they spoke too soon. Towering over them is Tan Ji, the poster boy of the exchange center. Everyone forgets the commotion from earlier and starts talking about him. He directly goes to Zuo Fan and asks what was happening there. The 3 people realize that they picked up a fight with a man who was friends with Tan Ji. They are not going to be let out easily. Once it is established that they were lying and trying to take advantage of Lu Jia, the staff gets their turn to teach them a lesson. Tan Ji submits a report of their misconduct to the authorities and they will have to face jail now. But he wants to let his colleagues vent out their frustration before that. Tan Ji is quite friendly with Zuo Fan and his friends find it hard to believe. He was going to join the headquarters of the mercenary guild soon and he thinks that he would like to help Zuo Fan if he ever decides to come to the place. The 3 friends go to a restaurant to celebrate and wish Zuo Fan farewell. He debates inside his mind if he should tell his friend about the War God system, but Lai Wai is not interested in it. Partly because he is drunk and partly because he knows Zuo Fan enough to trust him. He is touched that his friend still cared so much about him and treated him like his own brother. But his time in Zhongbi City comes to an end soon. He has moved to Jinning City, a powerful and large city housing even a military base. The reason for the presence of the military was the monster dens near the city. While in other places, the monster dens were spread over different areas, in Jinning they were congregated. All of the monster dens here were situated in the Ghost Rain Mountain. It was the area most densely populated by monsters in all of South China. Zuo Fan is scouting the military base. In the depth of the restricted area there, his father has hidden the proof of his innocence. Zuo Fan is far away from a building and tries to look into it through a binocular. But a guard notices him spying on them. That superhuman awareness was not out of place for a military base of this size. There were people much stronger and more experienced than him in that place and he would not be able to infiltrate the area as he was right now. Even though he was as strong as an advanced Starfall warrior, he could not be compared to military intelligence and tactics. He needed information and strength. The Mercenary Guild of Jinning was another powerful institution in this place. It was at least 10 times stronger than the guild at Zhongbei. It had formidable security too. The guards were at least as strong as Starfall reserves. There were squads of trained warriors who guarded the floors. The more sensitive areas had even advanced Starfall warriors guarding them. And the most important people in areas were said to be guarded by Starfall warlords, which was the rank above advanced Starfall warriors. But that was just the power of the Mercenary Guild. Add to that the power of the military, this city was an absolute powerhouse. He had been in this city for a few days and did not show much interest in joining other parties. He had a friend here, Ru Jai, who served as a bartender and desk agent at the guild. She was only 5 years older than him and an intermediate Starfall warrior. She is kind to him and tells him that if he is having difficulty finding good people to work with, she could help him. He thanks her for her offer but does not tell her his real mission. He was here only to scout out the military base and find ways to infiltrate it. The mercenary guild could be a good place to gather intel, but he had not found anything yet. But today was his lucky day. The display system of the guild conveys an important message. There is an announcement from the military. A joint operation is to be conducted which would include the military, the mercenary guild, and the Starfall families. This was a golden opportunity for all the warriors. The rewards were quite lucrative. There was a cash reward for individual performance. Those who would perform well enough would be gifted with F rank or E rank combat skills of their choice. But there was something even better than that, at least for Zuo Fan. The 10 best performers in this upcoming joint operation would be recognized by the military as people capable of working with them. They would be offered a job as security consultants at the Ghost Rain military base. They would receive good payment and could freely enter and exit the campus. It was a miracle. The opportunity he wanted so badly was presented to him on a silver platter. But what was the need for a joint operation? Since the Starfall, monsters started appearing and evolving in every part of the world. In places like Jinning, they aggregated in huge numbers. As they reproduced and increased in number, there was always a risk that they would run into human settlements. Considering how dense their population was in the Ghost Rain Mountain, such special measures had to be taken once every few years. The three sources of power that fought against the monsters for their individual reasons had to come together and launch a large-scale attack. They had to cull down the numbers of the monsters to save the city from potential outbreaks. It was really dangerous, but the rewards were there to make up a balanced offer. In the guild, there is an uproar about the announcement. Those who were here in time for the previous joint operation tell the juniors that the rewards were a lot better this time. The offer to become security consultants was definitely the best part of the deal. It was rumored that the security consultants were granted D-rank combat skills by the military. They had some access to the restricted areas that were often used as training grounds. But all the previous top performers were advanced Starfall warriors. Intermediate or warriors below that could never make the cut. Zuo Fan thinks that this opportunity is sent by the heavens for just him. He just had to make it to the top 10 performers. The sign-up for the operation was upstairs and anyone interested can go in. Needless to say, there is a long queue for it. The participants have to sign an agreement saying that they know that they can die in this operation and that would be their personal responsibility. Zuo Fan realizes that this much is appropriate considering the scale of the operation. Rujai is minding the line of applicants when she sees Zuo Fan there. She is worried that he might not be able to protect himself as he was just a novice. She asks a boy standing next to her to help him by teaming up with him. The boy is Pu Pan, the son of the president of the guild. He is only 15 but already an intermediate rank warrior even though he does not look like one. He has an innate talent called divine power, but he is not interested in teaming up with someone he doesn't know. He eats his chips as he tells her that he won't protect a man, but if it was a pretty woman, he wouldn't mind. He asks Ru why she cares so much about that man named Zuo Fan. He is terrified by the possibility that she might be interested in dating him. She had promised to go out with him once he grew up and he could not handle it if she decided to pursue another man. It is not clear why Ru made the promise, but she tells Pan that she was not going to break it. Zuo Fan reminded her of her little brother and she felt the need to care for him. She tries to talk Pan into agreeing to her request by telling him that she could ask her little sister to date him instead. The child is already a greedy womanizer and he readily agrees to her proposal on the promise that she would hook him up with her beautiful little sister. He tells her that he doesn't mind anymore if she is interested in Zuo Fan. But Ru is just playing with him, she has no siblings at all. But her lies were convincing enough to get a kid to do her bidding. The participants gather at the starting location of their operation. The Golden Ghost dedicated metro line leads to the camp at the entrance to monster dens. The warriors board the train and wait to reach their destination. It was sturdy in build and the defense systems were also top-notch. Everything about the train and the station said military grade. Starfall and the occurrence of monsters had destroyed the communication and transportation networks around the world. It took many years to build the railways back and the fare was too pricey for ordinary people. Most of the money had to be invested in the security of the trains. They had to protect the travelers from the monsters outside. And when they were traveling to a monster den like now, they needed this level of security. And that level of security could not be afforded by everyone. The train travels to the monster dens, but one monster is keeping an eye on it from the mountaintop. Eagle Fox, a D-rank monster, looks terrifying as it looks down on the vehicle carrying humans. Zuo Fan notices the monster and realizes that it would be necessary for the three pillars of power to come together if such powerful monsters lived here. The train reaches its destination safely and all the participants line up. There are only a few notable faces among them. Lai Hongwu of the Lai Starfall family is an advanced Starfall warrior at the age of 24. Pu Pan is another recognizable person from the Mercenary Guild. They are both representing their families and institutions, and the military commanders are excited to see how good they are. The mission will start soon. 2 possible candidates for the top 10 positions have already been revealed. Will Zuo Fan join their ranks and take a step closer to his goal? What kind of challenges will he face in the Ghost Mountain and how strong will he be by the end of it? Let us find out in the next part.